it wasn't fresh anymore for me.
Guy, I have my last question now. Let me see. Can you Never Gonna Be Another? Is it the most personal song for you?
Well, Never Gonna Be Another is kind of one of those songs that, I mean, it kind of relates to a friend of mine who's not with us anymore. But it also, in other ways, it relates to anybody that's lost something or somebody. So, or relates to, for me, it also relates to musical heroes, you know. Bob Marley, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, you know, Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know. And so, you know, yeah, it's certainly the most, it's the most poignant. It's the sharp end, it's the saddest song on there, yeah, definitely. Never Gonna Be Another.
Can you say, because you say that stuff that Dusty photograph?
Yeah.
What photograph is it?
Well, you know, it's like you picking up a photograph of you and a friend, and your friend's not there anymore, but you are, and you rummage through a box and you find a photograph of you two, you know. You dust it off and then look.
When do you think the rock will hit us?
The rock, well, to give you an idea, I'll tell you exactly. I won't tell you exactly when it's going to hit, but I will say that there is a comet, as we speak, that is travelling not more than 11 million miles away. If you break that down into universal terms, that's not very far away. It's 11 million miles away. The Earth, the Sun is 93 million, so it's way in between us and the Sun. If it was any closer, in between us and the Moon, we'd call it a near miss, a really near miss. So, you know, the point is, even in Nordlingen in Germany, 15 million years ago, it was a catastrophic impact. So it's not like it's not going to happen. You know, it is going to happen, just when. But the point is, you know, it's just velocity, isn't it? It's not necessarily size. It needs to be a quarter of a mile across to cause pretty serious damage. And then you've got to understand, it depends where it hits. It might hit right on a fault line, on a crust line. It could trigger all sorts of seismic activity. So it's well worth thinking about. What I'm just suggesting is that perhaps we should spend less time in church, more time worrying about that, because that's kind of more important. And you know, in some ways, it's probably nature's way of saying, I think you guys spend too much time fighting on the earth, so now I'm going to show you what real power is, not the stuff you're making up in books.
Do you think you will live to see it?
Yeah, you know, it'd be nice if you were sort of 92 years old and it happened when you were 93. That'd be good. Look, whatever happens, it's going to be pretty spectacular. All you'll ever see is a big flash in the sky and go, wow, what's that? And that'll be that. It'll be over. I mean, it's you know, like I say, these things do happen. Yeah. You know, and it's just the trouble is because we've only been around for 200,000 years, you know, a million years, whatever it is, you know, bipedal hominids. And as a developed, you know, species, we tend to think of time in our own lifestyles. Yeah. We don't think of time and how big universal time is. So every 15, 25 million years, something's going to happen. And I just, you know, like I say, we should maybe be spending more money, not fighting each other, and especially over religious wars, which is what we seem to be doing a lot of. We should spend money thinking about how we're going to stop it. Because if it doesn't catch the sun's light, and it's, you know, maybe 1/8 of a mile across, and it's travelling at what, 40,000 miles? It could be 40,000 miles, you know, an hour. How are you gonna see it? If it's in the wrong place, you might not see it. And to be honest with you, do you really think the American government's going to tell you it's on its way? You wouldn't have a chance anyway. It would take you'd only have 2 weeks warning at the very, very most. Even less than that. So it's just something interesting. I want people to think about it. I want people to, you know, understand that all the time you fight on this planet and do all this like crazy, crazy, crazy humans, it's only one little tiny ball. And I really think that we just look here. Humans do this. They look about this far from the page and wonder why they don't see anything. And all they've got to do really is look up. It's where you get all your time, your navigation, everything comes from that universe. And we live on the edge of a massive spiral galaxy, and there are billions of them. And, you know, I just find it weird that we can't get with the program. It's a tiny planet. All these birds, fish, amazing creatures, wonderful things, and us, all these wonderful things on this planet, but all we want to do is screw it up. And yet there's no other places to live. So we can all sit there saying, hey, we're going to live on Titan, in one of, you know, Saturn's moons one day. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. You can't even get to the moon and back yet, again. You know, so I just want people to think. I'd rather people weren't taught crazy religious stuff in schools, and I'd rather they were taught that. I don't want my kids being taught. I want them taught some facts. You know, and the point with this is, there's no religious argument that can ever, you know, I could sit and argue with somebody religious all day long, because all I want them to do is admit that really they're wrong. There's no proof for anything of what they're saying. But there's proof with this. We've got probes that go past these places. We've just seen a comet hit Jupiter about 5 years ago. You know, there's proof is in the pudding. Sun comes up, moon comes up, sun comes up, moon comes up. All of this religious stuff is all about money, power. It always has been and it always will be. And that's my view on it.
Thank you for your time.
Vote for me and bring some sense to the bloody world.